Your story to quit for good is yours to tell, and we're here to help. For free quit support, visit kickitca.org today.
For flooring.
Online?
Why not?
I want to be able to stand on it.
Oh, so you want to test it first?
Yeah, I want to walk on it. Go to sgcarpet.com and find a showroom.
Oh, wow, there's lots of them.
And S&G has installed dozens of styles and colors of flooring in their showrooms, so we can see them and feel them and try them out.
Stish my toes in the carpet.
Lay down and sleep on it.
Did S&G also install waterproof core in their showrooms?
And hardwood and laminate.
Then I can tap dance on it like Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain.
Slide on it like Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
That was S&G flooring?
Could have been. S&G started in 48, Singing in the Rain came out in 52, and Risky Business in 83.
Impressive.
What, Tom? Yeah, he really was.
With thousands of square feet of carpet, waterproof core, hardwood, and laminate installed in their showrooms, there's no better place to shop for new flooring than S&G. Go to sgcarpet.com for their showroom nearest you, or to have their mobile showroom come to you.
S&G, more than carpet, where quality is affordable.
For its final outdoor season at Thunder Valley, see Sammy Hagar and The Circle, Chicago, Jim Gaffigan, Boys to Men, and Ron White. Tickets for all these shows go on sale Saturday, February 5th at 10 a.m. For the summer concert schedule and to purchase tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. And coming in 2023, the entertainment continues at our new state-of-the-art event center, The Venue, Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Live out loud.
It isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਾਜਿਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬੱਬੂ ਮਾਨਾ ਤੇ ਕਰਨ ਔਜਲਾ ਦੇ ਫੈਨਸ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਫੀਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 10% ਆਫ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇੰਸਟ੍ਰਕਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ 20 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਫ਼ ਸੁਥਰੇ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਲੈਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜੌਬ ਪਲੇਸਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ। ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਅਨਿਲ 5303242070 530 324 2070 ਜਾਂ 650 338 9972 650 338 Yuba Sucker Truck Driving School.
Hemos enfrentado esta pandemia protegiéndonos unos a otros. Sigamos haciendo las cosas que sabemos nos mantienen más seguros contra el COVID-19 y sus variantes, como usar mascarilla en lugares públicos cerrados, hacernos la prueba antes y después de viajar y reunirnos con otros, y quedarnos en casa si nos sentimos enfermos. Sigamos fortaleciendo nuestra inmunidad. Encuentra un centro de vacunación cerca de ti en myturn.ca.gov o llama al 833-422-4255. Un mensaje del Departamento de Salud Pública de California.
See Sammy Hagar and The Circle, Chicago, Jim Gaffigan, Boys to Men, and Ron White. Tickets for all these shows go on sale Saturday, February 5th at 10 a.m. For the summer concert schedule and to purchase tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. And coming in 2023, the entertainment continues at our new state-of-the-art event center, The Venue, Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Live out loud.
Getting tested before and after traveling and gathering. And staying home if you feel sick. Let's keep our immunity strong. Visit myturn.ca.gov or call 833-422-4255.
With deals of the day for you and your Valentine, like an amazing 70% off fine jewelry. And refine your beauty routine with new favorites from Lancome and more, 20 to 40% off. Or shop specials like the perfect handbags and wallets, 40 to 50% off. Plus get contact-free curbside pickup or pickup in store today. Details at Macy's.com/pickup. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Harvested at the peak of flavor from farm to you. Visit our produce department today and see how we're perfecting the art of fresh.
Start 2022 off right at Capital City Honda with new inventory arriving daily. Plus, we'll buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Cap City Freeway and Fulton Avenue, your KBV buying center, proudly serving the Sacramento community and beyond. Reserve your new Honda today and lock in top dollar for your trade from home. Get an instant appraisal and build your own deal with Acceleride at CapitalCityHonda.com.
In the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
You know, I love talking to fans about my favorite moments on the field. But none of them are as important as my biggest moments off the field. Like being there for my family when my kids were born. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything, and neither should you. If you're a new father, California Paid Family Leave can provide up to 8 weeks of partial wage replacement benefits so you can bond with your new baby. California Paid Family Leave. Moments matter. To learn more, visit CaliforniaPaidFamilyLeave.com.
Love the mochas here.
Too bad my budget doesn't.
Sarah, don't give it up. State Farm has options to get you a surprisingly great rate.
Thanks, Jake. Next round's on me.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Saving water, smarter with the dishwasher.
It's true. An Energy Star certified dishwasher with Cascade Platinum uses only 4 gallons of water per cycle, while a running sink uses that every 2 minutes. Every load saves water.
Saving water, smarter with the dishwasher.
So do it every night. Run your dishwasher with Cascade Platinum, the surprising way to
save water.
Because Walgreens now accepts all Medi-Cal members with prescription services built for your schedule, like 90-day refills and pharmacy chat. Walgreens makes keeping up with your medications simple. So tell your neighbors, the delivery driver, even that miniature bulldog next to you on the 405. So cute. Walgreens is accepting all Medi-Cal members. Transfer your prescriptions today.
Talk to a pharmacist to see if your prescriptions qualify for 90-day refills.
This Saturday, get adult jeans for just $12 and kids jeans for just $10. Hurry, it's 2 days only this Saturday and Sunday at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 2/5 and 2/6. Select styles only.
And that means something. It means looking out for your family by offering the lowest prices we possibly can. It means making every effort to keep our shelves stocked and our stores clean every single day. This week, bone-in New York steaks are just $5.99 a pound in the Max Pack. And tender green asparagus is $5 in the 2 1/4 pound Big Pack. This family is here for your family. Save Mart. Valley Fresh, Valley Made, Valley Proud.
But did you know the early bird also gets access to cleaner energy? Because clean energy is in shorter supply from 4 to 9 p.m., just when Californians start using more power. So, if you run your dishwasher or laundry in the morning, you're helping California fight climate change. So remember, power down from 4 to 9 p.m. Keep it golden. And learn more at energyupgradecalifornia.org/radio.
Have a fair shot at living their best life. Start a plan for your future. Join our growing national movement at FL4A.org.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton with Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports, and that includes me. I want to say, Charles with the Fuentes Bonjour, the Bitty Bitty BJ, as I said, welcome to the show. Today is a beautiful February the 4th, 2022. Isn't that something? If you stayed up like I did to watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics, and give that some praise. They pulled it off amid all the politics and everything else that's going on in China. They pulled it off, and so congratulations on pulling it off. It's all fair level. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You can buy a test drive your Charlton, Big C Sports Center, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can really follow Big C Sports on a lot of applications. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart-Radio-Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and now I really do got to catch my breath. I'm trying to get in better shape. Give me some praise. Come on, y'all. You got to catch your breath. Clock out the 10. Not as easy as you would think, if that makes sense then. You can follow Big C Sports on Geo Savan Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line Podcast, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, podcast-wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, and all feeds AI, artificial intelligence, has taken over the universe. Give that some praise. Well, hold on, don't give artificial intelligence praise. I guess you can, as long as it's not taking us over. Give that some praise. My goodness, it's like HAL 2001, A Space Odyssey. We don't want the robots to really take over. If the robots take over, who's going to run Google? Wait, robots already do run Google. I guess I was sleeping in on that one. I'm telling you, there's so much going on in the world of sports. Really do appreciate it. And when you hear, man, from NFL football and not wanting to give people an equal opportunity, and then you have what's going on in China with human rights, so many times we just got to figure out to have some dialogue. Somehow, some way, got to figure out how to have dialogue. That's why I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. It's all about dialogue. You can also follow Big C Sports all around the world on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Like, give that some praise. Come on, give that praise. We all got to have the chance to just get along all over the world. They were talking about people boycotting the Olympics because of all the human rights issues. Man, there's people talking about boycotting NFL because of the inequality issues. At some point in time, cooler heads have to prevail, and we all got to try to get along. That's the only way I see out of this thing, and that's what I love about Big C Sports. I can always talk to myself, and even with that, I've sometimes found disagreement. So I love paying homage to my family legacy with Big C Sports Podcast. On my beautiful mother's side, the matriarch of the family, called her Mamo. The matriarch of the family, she was just a wonderful, wonderful human being, always making sure the family had food on the table and stayed together through thick and thin. And then my great-grandfather, Pop, former Negro League baseball player, also known around the church friends as making the best moonshine in the universe, according to his friends. He's the first one that started, let's get ready to rumble. He started that in my family. Really do appreciate that. And then my grandmother called her Mud Deer. She is a wonderful, wonderful person, a seer, very intelligent, hardworking, can see people, look at people, and tell you a lot of things about those people. It's really amazing trait that she had. And then my grandfather Hezekiah, similar kind of thing, could look at people and tell you a lot about them. Really do appreciate that. My beautiful mother, I'm telling you, helped start a Head Start program in Northern California, a food program to feed people, and also coached Little League Baseball, helping with the Little League Championship of the universe. Give mama some praise. Come on, y'all. You got to give that some praise. A food program, a Head Start program, and win the Little League Championship of the universe. Really do appreciate that. Always saying rise and shine. Always saying rise and shine. On my father's side, the matriarch of the family, Alberta Curry, another wonderful woman, just doing everything possible to keep the family strong, helping my grandfather with 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Also, they had 2 churches in Oakland, as well as built the 3rd church in the Central Valley. They had 2 service stations also in Oakland, California. Really do appreciate her. And my grandfather, Albert Curry, obviously, as a pastor of 2 churches, built the 3rd one, and then had 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Very smart, wise businessman. Really do appreciate that. My father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and chief mechanic, making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe. And then saying develop your mind to its highest extent. My beautiful brother Todd, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Really do appreciate that. Oftentimes, one of our favorite movies is Pulp Fiction. That stinking sensation that you're feeling, that's pride blinking with you. Blink pride. I still think about that. One of my favorite movies, Pulp Fiction. We must have seen it about 50 times. And then I love paying homage to my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College student, double majors, graduated with honors, double majors in 3.5 years, but helped me set up with Big C Sports when coaches would come to the West Coast, helping set up for their merchandising and also setting up interviews. Really do appreciate that. My beautiful son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the universe. Really do appreciate Malcolm, a college student. Very smart, hardworking, industrious person, and has a bright future ahead of him. Always helping me with the NBA, knows his NBA stats inside and out, loves NBA basketball. Really do appreciate everything that Malcolm does to help his dad. I love always saying, watch the movie Black Panther. It was always the people on the outside that tried to destroy Wakanda forever. Never let anyone destroy Wakanda forever. All's fair in love and war. And then my partner, Big C, with all of his wealth of knowledge in the past. Give everybody some praise. I say, come on. Give everybody some praise. Great praise. All over the universe. Remember this. Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever. There are always people on the outside trying to get into Wakanda so they can destroy it. Like Endgame, one of the great Disney movies. I mean, you can say Endgame was one of the top grossing movies in the universe. It was about Thanos trying to destroy people. Why couldn't you just get along? Thanos, it's not necessary to try to destroy people just because you can snap your fingers. Well, some people are like that too. And I'm not one to put my head in the sand. I know people don't talk about much when it comes to things, but I'm going to talk about the Olympics too, as well as some other things that happened with Brian Flores, because I think it's so important. Oftentimes we just want to say, who won the game? All's fair in love and war. I love saying with Big C Sports Podcast, again, this started with my great-grandfather, Pop David Watch. He was a former Negro League baseball player. He was in the military. He also loved sports, especially boxing. They would always listen to boxing on the radio, as well as baseball on the radio. And then, sometimes football wasn't as popular as boxing and also baseball on the radio. But oftentimes, when he and his friends from the church, they had this thing about, let's get ready to rumble! We really do appreciate that. Welcome to the show, ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no three-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. All I have in my ear is an earplug and a little bit of earwax, which is also good. If you ever run out of chapstick, earwax is just as good, but it tastes so bitter. It's all fair level war. Would you rather have chapped lips or soft lips that are a little bit bitter? All fair and level war. But I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast the shows. And then I do all of the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter in our life. Yes, I talk fast, but technology's fast. The commercial's done by the agency in New York City. I provide the stats. I do the storytelling. And then there's the play-by-play. Klay Thompson for 3! That good old boy was doing his thing 7 and 9 in three-point shots last night at beautiful Chase Center in San Francisco, California. And then I upload the show. It goes out to 23 podcast applications all over the universe. I never missed a show. Since creating Big C Sports back on September 12, 2015, there was a small tribe of us that created Big C Sports Podcast. And doing the show solo, I always honor God. Always honor God. One of the favorite verses for me when I grew up in a house full of church and sports it's like the book of Genesis chapter 13 verse 15. It says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. And then the book of James chapter 4 verse 2, it said, ye have not because we ask not. If you want something, just ask, and give asking some praise. Come on, give it praise. Don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of rejection. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And that's what I love about Big C Sports. I really want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for sending Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3. God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones or electronic devices and just say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see our apps pop up all over the world. Really do appreciate that. I'm venturing into 2022. Everybody has their goal set for the new year. I remember I interviewed several sports agents back in 2018, and just everything that happened, I'm going to talk about that later, but it's amazing how that was 4 years ago. So 4 years later, some opportunities are presented to Big C Sports through sports agents. Isn't that something? The amazing things that happen when you don't burn bridges. Unless you want to burn bridges. But I don't burn bridges. I really want to talk about it because I know everybody's focused on the Olympics and the Summer Olympics. Part of Big C Sports did the Summer Olympics. Had some people live in the Olympic Village. August Wesley, really appreciate that. But I just want to say, I'm going to talk more about that. But when it comes to betting, sports betting, my goodness, a lot of sports books are really cleaning up. And they're doing such a good job they're using this thing called a vacuum cleaner, and it sucks money out of your pocket. But they always make you think that you're going to win. That's how they suck the money out. Everybody thinks they're going to win. But there's something about people who oftentimes get in a little bit deeper than they're supposed to. If you ever find yourself getting in a deeper water that you can swim in, they have an 800 number. It's called 800-GAMBLER. Pick up the phone, call 800-GAMBLER, GAMBLER, because gambling is a tough thing. For the bookies in the books to make the money, you got to lose. But they make it seem like you're going to win every time. If all the guys that are paid to call and say, hey, Carlton, I got a can't miss on the game tonight. If they're making so much money and they know what they're doing, why they want to share? Really, if they're making so much money and they're going to help me make $1 million, why would they give me the secret? They can do it for themselves. It's funny. I don't know. It's just be careful. If you know anyone going through issues, 800-GAMBLER. Super Bowl 56 is coming up, and there are a lot of people looking to make money on Super Bowl 56. I also want to say thank you to the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anyone going through issues, it could be the person in the mirror. You can pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And I hear they'll stand on their head to make sure that you get help. You can also text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can get our veterans some help and give that some praise. Come on, y'all. I said give it praise, praise, praise. Everybody needs someone to lean on, especially our veterans dealing with a lot of issues. And oftentimes people turn their back on our veterans. I always love saying that. I also want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. And it's amazing because it has 0% alcohol, but it's 100% honest game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. And when you're at it, make sure you get the big coffee. In fact, if you go to AM PM, they have the big cup for only 99 cents. You get all the coffee and then you're yours. Just tell a Big C sent you. And watch your cup got to be so big, but they give you 99 cents for any size coffee at AM PM participating dealers all around this great country. Really do appreciate that. And I know everybody has their own thoughts about sports and what's going on with sports. My show tonight is going to be a little bit different because there's something that I really wanted to touch on that goes with is hand in hand. I know the Olympics started in Beijing, and when you think about all of the human rights issues, some people say don't talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. I know NBC News, they did something called allegedly. And I don't want to act like I know more than I know. I mean, because I don't. And that may be obvious at times. But when you realize people are so up in arms about not wanting to talk about things that are embarrassing or not talk about things that are painful, or some people say let's not talk about things that are political. But if you think about it, all of us, we have in this great country so much to thank people who were willing to have good trouble. I mean, there's so much that the late John Lewis said, get into good trouble. Dr. King talked about treating people the way you want to be treated and don't judge people by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And then the NFL's having issues just getting people work or trying to decide who they're going to hire. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts about it. Even Jerry Jones came out and talked about Mike McCarthy's going to be his coach, but he really likes Dan Quinn. And that makes Mike McCarthy feel like, well, why you have me here if you really want somebody else? But as far as the Rooney Rule, you're supposed to give, everyone's supposed to get an opportunity for employment. But Jerry Jones said he already has his favorite second coach picked out already. Sometimes you slide people some libation and they start talking about things. So when people say we have the Rooney Rule, but Jerry Jones just told you he already has his next coach lined up. And Dan Quinn. So much for Mike McCarthy. Must make him feel pretty bad. The coach says the guy I really want is a guy that works on your staff. And then when the African-American coaches are saying they want equal opportunity to find opportunity just for the interview or for the work. And you go back to Brian Flores, who did a great job with the Miami Dolphins, had winning seasons in 2 of the 3 years that he was there. And when you think about it, they had the ownership of the Miami Dolphins was paying Brian Flores money to lose games. Could you imagine being paid to lose? Well, that's called throwing games, which is illegal. And sports books are making money hand over fist. And people say, well, how do they make so much money, the owners? A lot of it's TV revenue. And then some of it's based on fans buying tickets. And then the concessions, they get a percentage of that. But how many have their hand in the underworld? Saying, hey, look, guys, we're going to have our guys throw this game. But the odds makers have us favored to beat the whatever team by 3. But I'm paying my coach $100,000 to lose. But the odds makers may have the Dolphins or any other team. Well, the Dolphins should beat this team. You can fill in the blank for what that team is or who that team is. But if the owner is telling his coach, if you lose this game, I'll pay you more money, that's illegal. And if the coach ends up doing what he's told and you end up losing too many games, they're going to say you're fired because you have a losing record. I want winners. I want people who want to win. Remember, Mike Singletary was chastised for saying that when he coached the 49ers? You know, he does have a Super Bowl championship with the 85 Bears. I want winners. I want people who want to win. And he got kind of criticized for that. Of course people want to win. You play to win the game. We've heard that before, the great Herm Edwards. And then you have an ownership of the Miami Dolphins, allegedly, saying we're gonna pay you to lose the game. You're paid to lose the game. Think about that. And Jerry Jones telling Dan Quinn, you're my guy. And Mike McCarthy's my guy now, but you're next. What's the Rooney Rule? Jerry Jones doesn't know what the Rooney Rule is, only in words, but not in deeds. And he's made the most, I guess the Dallas Cowboys are still the most successful franchise in NFL. Over $6 billion. So obviously he's part of the good old boy society. They can do what they want to do. And who's going to punish them? Roger Goodell? We're going to tell Roger on you, Jerry Jones. They're going to tell Roger to do what? Roger's paid by all 32 owners and supposedly makes about $44 million a year. You think he's really going to do anything to kill that golden goose? He can't. He can only say, we're all in this. It takes all of us to end racism. People empowered, they just want to win, supposedly, but maybe they don't. But the person that maybe, I would say, has more credibility than any NFL coach currently right now, that would be Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick texts Brian, who he thought was Brian Flores, congratulations on your new job, and you'll be a good choice. Now, Brian Flores used to be on the staff of Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. And Flores got back to him. I haven't had the interview yet. My interview is coming up next week, or a couple more days. And I guess the conversation went like, oop, wrong person. Now, was Bill trying to alert Brian Flores to say, hey, the inside, these good old boys, this oligarchy of power, they've already hired a white guy. The New York Giants have never had a black head coach. They've only had black football players. That's how they like it. That's how they like it. But never a head coach. And when you think about the Mara family, supposedly one of the greater ownership groups in the NFL, they lose over and over and over again. And Brian Flores beat the New England Patriots twice. So how does Bill Belichick find out from the Maras that Brian Flores is not going to be the candidate before Brian Flores even had the interview? Liberty and justice for all. So when the interview goes to the person most qualified, how do you know who's most qualified if you don't conduct a thorough interview? And so when I think about what Brian Flores has a lawsuit against, it's not just the Miami Dolphins. I believe the New York Giants are also in there. But I feel that Brian Flores did the right thing. But you got to ask yourself this question also. How did John Gruden get a job when it's been known based on emails, allegedly, maybe someone else got into his email and sent the emails out to somebody else, but allegedly, that he's homophobic, sexist, racist, misogynistic, and he still got the $100 million with the Raiders. And Mark Davis still said he didn't want to fire him. He said he was forced to fire him, or resign, if that makes sense to you. So how is it that John Gruden, who does not have a winning record outside of Tony Judge's players with Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the day, how is it that John Gruden, with his lack of character, has not only gotten the jobs with the Raiders twice, but also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And got the biggest contract in the NFL history, in the history of the NFL universe. That was John Gruden. And he has such bad character based on what they found on the emails. In fact, his character is so bad, they said, you're fired. Because we will not tolerate that type of behavior being known. Because the emails will go back over a decade. Over a decade. And he talked about some of the other people in the league that think just like him. And you know what the NFL said? It takes all of us. We want to help create a better society and equality in the NFL. We have I believe there's 2 women officials in Super Bowl 56. I believe, but I could be wrong. And there's so much that we can learn from airing dirty laundry. Like, how do we clean things? How do we make things better? You gotta, the dirt comes out in the wash. But you gotta want to wash it out. Irrespective of what's going on in China with human rights, we have our own issue of human rights in the United States. But I'm just hoping that there's a lot of decent people who want to fix it. And I would hope that Bill Belichick was trying to give Brian Flores a clue. Hey, Brian, you're getting the okie doke. You're getting hoodwinked. You're getting bamboozled. But when he has said, hey, I apologize. Oops, wrong person. Why would Bill Belichick be a part of a group that's not fair when black men have made him wealthy? You think about that. He was a defensive coordinator for 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants. So he knows the Mara family very well. Why would the Mara family tell Bill Belichick that they're not going to hire a black guy, but they're going to have him come in for the interview anyway? So maybe Bill Belichick was just letting Brian Flores know, hey, man, you might want to save on that flight coming up here. I mean, I don't know. That's something that Bill Belichick can come out and say, but he probably won't. Oh, honest Bill. Give it to you straight, honest Bill Belichick. Is he going to come out and say what he knows? Because he doesn't want to be ostracized by the good old boys either. But maybe he was doing the best he could to have his cake and eat it too. But would he turn on his friend, the Mara family that hired him, to alert Brian Flores that, hey, you're being okey-doked. They give you the okey-doke. You're being hoodwinked. Because Brian Flores is on the staff of Bill Belichick. So would he have more loyalty to the man that used to pay his paycheck, or a guy that he helped with the doing of the Patriots? Only Bill Belichick can answer that question. But there's a lot of those situations that go on in the world of sports. And unfortunately, on the outside looking in, does anyone think it's going to change? I don't know. We've been talking about this for a long time. Liberty and justice for all. Dr. King talked about it. He talked about it many times. And I just wonder, I know there are good people in all colors, shapes, and sizes. No one's a paragon of virtue. But it just, what Brian Flores talked about are some of the same things I personally have run across in my lifetime, and other people of color have also. And even if they're decent white people, let's say that Bill Belichick is decent. You can be decent or indecent, not based on your skin color or the color of your skin, but the content of your character. So if you're Bill Belichick, why was he privy to something that Brian Flores was not? It's his character to do the right thing and tell the Mara family, hey, that's illegal. Why are you bringing in a black guy to make you look good when you've already hired another white guy? Did Bill Belichick do that? Or did he try to cover his own backside and stay in the good old boys network? I don't know. It could be some of both. It could be some of both. But if you're Brian Flores, what are your thoughts of Bill Belichick now? I mean, they say the truth shall set you free. So if Bill Belichick knew that the Mara family was doing something illegal by violating the Rooney Rule, and you have all of these African-American football players that play football for the New England Patriots, and I said before, you can look at the Kerner Commission. A lot of people love you when they're saying touchdown, home run, three-point play. They love you when you have a uniform on. But if you can't score touchdowns for me or tackle people, you have no use to me. So if Bill Belichick's character, and he's considered really the best football coach out there in the NFL, if his character is such that he will collude with the Mara family to usurp the Rooney Rule and laugh at all these black men that are flying across the country for an interview. What does that say about Bill Belichick? Now, maybe I'm wrong, because Brian Flores may want to give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt. Like John, I mean, everybody has our own thoughts. But you got to get in, John Lewis said, find good trouble. If you're an honest person and you really want to do the right thing by 75% of the players in the league, why wouldn't Bill Belichick, instead of texting, I mean, he knew Brian Flores was up for the job too. That's why I think he knew. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I would have to think he vouched for it. I just don't know, but that's something Bill Belichick can say. If he knew that the Rooney Rule was being violated, why not tell the Mara family, hey, that's illegal? Just like Brian Flores told the ownership of the Miami Dolphins, I am not going to throw football games because that's illegal. It's illegal to throw games. Pete Rose can't get into the Hall of Fame because people allege that he better in baseball. There are NBA referees that went to prison because it was alleged they fixed games. I guess once you go to prison, it's not alleged anymore. Convicted of it. We've seen that before. So Bill Belichick, as the coach that people admire, if he knew that the Mara family was violating the Rooney Rule and he said nothing about it, what does that tell you about Bill Belichick compared to Brian Flores? If Bill Belichick saw an illegal practice taking place and he said nothing, and then when Brian Flores was being told to do an illegal act, Brian Flores said no, which one has more character? Brian Flores or Bill Belichick? Because it's the same thing with sexism in our workforce. If men see that men in the workforce are predatory toward women and they say nothing, they tell the woman, hey, just toughen up. Hey, it's a man's world. You got to get tough. You got to get used to it. You got to have thick skin. Then we hold those men accountable too. Because as far as I understand, if you're in upper management and you know of some wrongdoing happening in the workforce, then you're supposed to bring it to the attention of the employer. You're not supposed to hide it. Because that makes you complicit. So is Bill Belichick complicit in what the Mara family did to Brian Flores? Or was he really trying to blow the whistle and let Brian Flores know, hey, they're hoodwinking you, man. You're being hoodwinked. You're being bamboozled. I don't know. Only Bill Belichick can answer that question. And I want to say he's a fair man, but I don't know him. I do not know him. It's a shame that Brian Flores came forward to help other people, and he's going to be chastised by NFL and media. But there are a lot of football players that appreciate what he's done because he did the right thing. Just like in the Washington football, well, now the Washington Commanders, at the time, Washington Redskins under Daniel Snyder, there were allegations of some bad treatment toward women in the organization. And people covered it up. They didn't want the women to bring it out. You know, they were just troublemakers. But they came and hid a lot of the shenanigans. And those women just have to suffer. And oftentimes the threat was, if you tell anybody, you're going to lose your job. Isn't that how it's done? Put pressure on people. If you tell about someone breaking the law, you're going to lose your job. Not the people breaking the law, but the person who's victimized is going to lose their job. Brian Flores got fired for not breaking the law. Insider betting and throwing games in the NFL is illegal. But if he's being told to do it, why does that ownership still exist for the Miami Dolphins? There are people who work in banks all around the country. If someone tells them, hey, go in there and rob that bank, and we'll split the money, that's a felony. I know people do it. But to offer a man $100,000 every time you fix a game, that's illegal. It's a shame, but that's what's alleged to have happened. And I hope that the NFL will look more into that because we don't want to see that happening. And when you think about it, how many other coaches have been treated the same way? How would Brian Flores have felt had Bill Belichick not sent that text? Why did Belichick send the text? Did he really send it to the wrong person? Or was he trying to alert Brian Flores? Either way, a man of character would come out and say, hey, that's not right. You can't sexually assault women. I'm not going to stand by and watch that happen. Oh, come on, man. She's just a woman. Why were her high heels so high? Why was she wearing that skirt anyway? Why was that skirt so short? Why were her pants so tight? You know she wanted it, man. Look at the way she walks. Isn't that what a lot of Neanderthal men have said before they preyed on women? Why were her shoes so tight? Why did she wear those high heels if she didn't want it? Why was she wearing a skirt if she didn't want it? I mean, look at why would she wear such a revealing outfit if she didn't want it? Imagine that. You're supposed to, as an employer, report that to Bill Belichick doesn't own the New England Patriots. He's supposed to report that to the ownership group. And we know Bob Kraft had his own legal issues. It's just amazing how time after time again we go through this. Tony Dungy, great coach, well respected, played college football at Minnesota, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, he wrote a letter yesterday to the NFL, I guess to all the owners, asking about equality. And unfortunately, even going back to the days of Fritz Pollard, we have to just have dialogue. All people. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's only worked in my life. And it's a shame that so many decent people choose to say nothing because they don't want to lose their good old boy network privileges. Oftentimes, you'll never know how to get inside. We can only sit on the outside and ask. And then there are people who say, man, why don't you just shut up and play? Just shut up and dribble. Imagine that came out of the mouth of a woman. Just shut up and dribble. You know, the Me Too movement? I think her name was Laura Ingraham from Fox News. Oh, just shut up and dribble. Imagine men saying to women, oh, just shut up and open your legs. You know you wanted it. That's why you wore a miniskirt to work. That's why you wore the high heel shoes. That's why you wore the lipstick. Just shut up and open your legs. You know, the Me Too movement, where a lot of women were saying it happened to me too. And then Laura Ingraham works for a network where a lot of guys got fired, Bill O'Reilly, for telling women just shut up and open your legs. You want the job, don't you? And then they have a knucklehead like Laura Ingraham say, shut up and dribble. So just shut up and open your legs to the next woman that says she's assaulted. Doesn't mean it happened. Everyone has a right to face their accuser. But it's amazing how some people will tell black men, not you two, but me too. And at the same time, it takes a lot of people who have just character to even talk about it like I am. Some people don't talk about this other than 2 minutes. Hey, just talk about who won the game, man. Last night in the NBA, last night in hockey. What about the Olympics? The worst thing that could happen is that as a man in the society, to see men who are Neanderthal and not say, hey, man, don't do that. And then go to the employer. That's not cool. And women have their own issues too. Sometimes women tear each other down, can be very catty toward each other. I've seen that too. Who am I to talk about that? There are times when women will tear each other down instead of build each other up. So I don't know what to say to women who do that to each other, but I do know as an African-American man, as a black man, opportunities are out there for those who go get it. But I do know also that there's a glass ceiling that is always pushed back on people. You can run touchdown, home run, three-point play. People love you for that. But as far as ownership and coaching, there's still a pushback by many people. But I do know if we all work together and talk about it. It may not be easy, but read that letter. You can even Google what Tony Dungy had written, I believe it was yesterday, about how great-grandfathers, I always pay homage to my family legacy when I do my show, my great-grandfather, grandparents, my mom and father. And when you see that in my children, I don't want that happening to my kids. I don't want someone looking at them and treating them different because they're people of color, even though I know it's going to happen. It's already happened. It's already happened. I remember going with my daughter one time to a football game, and she must have been about 5 years old. And a lot of the people walked out on the field when it was done. And there was a police officer that came over to me with her on my shoulder and said, "You got to get off the field." And I didn't know he was talking to me. I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "I'm talking to you. You got to get off the field." I said, "Okay, well, there's like 1,000 people on the field just walking across to go to the other side of the stadium." He said, "But I'm talking to you." And my daughter was on my shoulder. That man was white. And I don't know if she still remembers that, but I do. Because people will smile in your face and try to destroy your father behind his back. Just like that white police officer told me and you to get off that field. He didn't talk to all the white people in the stadium. He talked to me. I just asked him, "Could I talk to the sergeant?" And he turned bright red. And he said, "Well, go ahead and go on." I didn't argue. I just said, "Can I talk to your sergeant?" But there was about 1,000 white people on the field, too. He just said nothing to anybody. But he had touched me. So I know how Brian Flores feels. And my daughter was on my shoulder. The only difference is I'm beautiful and black and he was pale and white. That's the only difference. But people, if you don't stand up for somebody, then it's going to happen to our children. And sometimes it's happening to our children and they don't even know it. Because people will try to destroy their family, but not their own. And I just know it's always happened. So the NFL is no different than any other experience that black men have had in this country. And black women. But sometimes you think it won't happen to you. I have another friend of mine, black man, he was hanging out with a white guy. And they had done something that was wrong. They arrested the black man and let the white guy go home. And both of them were football players. I have white friends that I work with right now that tell me of many times they've been pulled over, no registration, no insurance, even drunk. And they were allowed to just go talk their way out of it. Hey, well, make sure you just call a cab. I'm talking about not that long ago, in the past decade. So how does this problem get fixed with the NFL? It gets fixed by talking about it. I don't know what people feel like when they want to protect someone who's racist or sexist. Most men have daughters. If they do have a daughter, they don't want their daughter having to pull her pants down to get a job or having to be racist to keep a job, to fit into that network. No one wants to have to face that glass ceiling, but oftentimes we do. I saw these placards that say Black Lives Matter. People have them in their homes. They have them on their cars, on football helmets in stadiums. And then they try to destroy black men. Like, why? All life came from Africa. Google it, Dr. Leakey Gregory-Mendo. I think if we all knew where life came from, we'd respect our roots a little better. So Ancestry.com, it doesn't go back further enough. It doesn't go back far enough. But if you're a man and you stand aside while women are assaulted and you do nothing about it, that's wrong. But John Gruden said, look, there's a lot of guys who think that way. And the NFL that I love very much said, well, it lacks merit. It lacks merit. How does it lack merit? You mean sexism doesn't exist? You mean the Me Too movement doesn't exist? It all lacks merit? All of it? Every woman that cries, hey, it happened to me too? All of them lack merit? Every single one of them? But that's what the league is saying. And your cries of liberty and justice for all lacks merit. All of it does. If it lacks merit, then why do they have end racism on the back of many football helmets? On the end of end zones? And the end of basketball, and you can look at the basketball arenas. A lot of them say end racism on the foul, on the out of bounds line. So why would they do that if it lacks merit? How could you acknowledge something and say it lacks merit? If it lacks merit, why you acknowledge it? So whether it's Brian Flores or anybody else trying to get work, I remember how mainstream media, many of our white brethren, they turned on Colin Kaepernick because he said stop killing black people. And that was anathema to the good old boys. What do you mean stop killing people? I don't see color. You don't see color. What color are you? I'm just a Christian. Okay, if you don't see color, what color are you when you go to get a home loan or a car loan or a credit card? When you go to get employment, when they ask you what's your ethnicity, what do you put on your driver's license? Everybody picks a color because the system's designed that way. You know, you just got to acknowledge it. We got to all acknowledge it, and that's what I want to be a part of. I'm going to take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout, in the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. I'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications streaming. Really do appreciate that, Big C Sports Podcast. Today is a beautiful February the 4th, 2022. All fair and love and war. But I go back to all the talk in the NFL and how to make things better. I really wanted to touch on the fact that we have the Olympics in Beijing that started last night. I was up late trying to just watch the opening ceremonies. I didn't realize I could have just recorded it. You know how much Big C comes in the Big C cup? It comes in one size extra large. I was in the bathroom 10 times last night. Oh, that cup got to be a little large. Anyway, I'm a bit loopy right now. Trying to stay up late to watch the Olympics. So just recorded it. But I do believe no one likes to be accused of anything. If someone's going to accuse you of anything, you should have a right to face your accuser. That's just human decency. So I hope Bill Belichick would have told the Rooney, not the Rooney family, the Mara family. The Rooney family's been very fair. But the Mara family, that he was played under them also when he was a defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. And again, how do you stand up when somebody's doing wrong? Imagine for men who have daughters and telling your daughter or your spouse or a girlfriend or any woman that you care about how to stay safe around men. You don't drink. People say, don't drink. Some people will do it anyway. Don't put your safety in the hands of other predatory people, because anyone who loves you would not have you go out and get so drunk and stupid that you don't know who you are or where you are. I've seen women being taken advantage of in those situations. You say, hey man, don't do that. Leave her alone. F you, man. F you. No, F you. But what if you're not there to stand up for that woman? And some women don't know how to stand up for themselves. They can be intimidated and coerced into doing things. That's what the Me Too movement was about. And it's happened to black women throughout the beginning of time, since the 1619. And everyone should read the 1619 Project. If you really want to deal with racism in the United States, there's a lot of things you can look at, but the 1619 Project, you got to Google it, read it, let your people that you care about know about it. If you want to know how to end racism, we all got to start with how it became so fashionable in the United States. People just smile it off now. They laugh in your face. I've been called the N-word by people that say, hey, I love you, brother. How you doing, brother? I've talked about it ad nauseum. And I know women have been, you think about a woman who's about to be assaulted by a man. Oftentimes she knows that man. It's not some guy coming out of a parking lot behind the car at nighttime. It's oftentimes someone that she knows. And she put her guards down around that person. Hey, get her drunk. I've heard a lot of white, and they were white. Don't get mad by saying what it was. I'm just telling you what the color of men were that I heard it from. You want to get even with women? Get them drunk. A lot of my white friends that I play football with talk that way. You know, the frat brothers. That a lot of them get into jobs because the dad knows somebody. Or they get in because of the frat brothers. I'm sure it happens in every culture. Look what's gone over in Beijing. But there are times when people would prey on women. They get them drunk. So they couldn't fight them off. The kid down at Stanford that raped that woman, college student, because she was inebriated. I mean, everybody knows. I guess women have to know how to protect themselves. I can only say so much. I've always just told people that I know, beware of your environment and don't be by yourself letting people get you drunk and boozed up. I'm not preaching. I can't tell people what to do. People do what they want to do. But I also know men that would prey on those women. They bragged about how they're going to do it. And whether it's the NFL or any other Neanderthal man that takes advantage of other people, it's amazing how people say, I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. You still have a right to face your accuser because that's how you decide who's right and who's wrong. If you can't face the accuser, then the person making the accusation is wrong. That's why they won't let you face your accuser, because they're wrong. If you're not wrong, whether it's the Mara family or Bill Belichick and Brian Flores, sit down and have a conversation. Go on Oprah. I'm sure Oprah would have that interview. Or come on Big C Sports, I'll have the interview. How can we keep the next generation of people safe? I don't know. Because you can't, there are times when I don't drink when I'm out. If I'm going to have something to drink, I'll do it at home. I've been called, oh man, you talk yourself out of a good time. Oh, you're a party pooper. I don't do drugs. I don't drink when I'm out. If I'm going to drink, I drink at home. But I've seen people hurt themselves by drinking and driving, getting DUIs, ending up in jail. But I see it. It's just part of what society does. They give booze at almost every stadium. Also, there's a little side note. I think there's been an arrest made. It was at SoFi Stadium when the 49ers played the Rams over the weekend. And there was a fan that was beaten up. A 49er fan that was beaten up by someone down in Los Angeles, I guess a Rams fan. And I believe they made an arrest. They have cameras all over the place. No one should ever have to go through that crap. But just, be careful of people that you love. Like I tell my kids, I can't make them listen. But learn from other people's mistakes. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs. Don't do it. I've known people who've overdosed. People who were drinking and driving and they ended up in prison hurting somebody. So I've seen a lot of that negative crap. I'm not a party pooper. If you love someone, you tell them. Hopefully they listen. Anyone telling you to go drinking and driving, they don't care about you. If it's so wonderful, have them do it instead. If it's so easy to do it in front of law enforcement. And then call that person a party pooper. So whether it's the NFL or the people down at SoFi Stadium that beat up the fan, it's just dumb. Doesn't make any sense. Can't we all just get along? I'm not one to know more about the politics of China and human rights abuses, but they go on, and the world still goes there to celebrate the Olympics. So, United States participated. They didn't stay home. Whatever your thoughts are, how do we hold people accountable and keep people safe? I would just hope that there's more dialogue, because if we keep turning a blind eye in our society, when women are abused, or when discrimination happens, racism, sexism, homophobia, all the isms that hurt people, and it shouldn't. We gotta we don't have to do anything. People do what they want to do. I just know what I want to stand for. I'm not a perfect person. Got my own problems. But I don't go around hurting people. And I've oftentimes tried to break up fights. Tried to walk away from fights. I learned martial arts when I was 11 years old. And I learned by a guy that could beat up almost anybody. His name was Clarence Hendricks. Martial arts, I think he's 3rd degree black belt. But he said, I'll never forget, I was 11 years old. We used to box and do martial arts. And he said, the best fighters you'll never know because they use their brain to get out of it. You got to think like an old wise man. Use your mouth to get out of things. Hey, I'm done. Hey, no problem. Hey, no problem. Hey, have a good day. Hey, take care of yourself. Hey, I got to go. not you F you blippity blip blankety blank. You can talk his way out of things. There's the partner that I work with right now in the mortgage company that he's a skilled in the martial arts, black man. And talking with him about some things that you can do that will affect things in people without you even touching them. It's amazing. Very erudite man, black man. So I want to say, give Brian Flores a chance. Give Peace a chance. Give everybody who's decent a chance. You can always have a chance too. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? And Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, because all these Big C burgers make me light on my feet. And that Big C coffee that only comes in one size extra large makes me go to the bathroom a lot. That's why he's always doing the rope-a-dope. He would always grab people and hold them, because his bladder was full too. He knew about the Big C coffee before everybody knew. I'll tell you, I just hope that life is good for everybody who wants to be. We got to talk more. We got to forgive more. Don't be the evil person. God knows our hearts. If you're evil, stop it. Give people a chance to find equal opportunities, liberty, and justice for all, so that women don't have to say me too, and other people of color don't have to say, my God, it happened again. I'm telling you, we got to all do better. We can all do better. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as I always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.